I was doing a little bit of research about this before our call, and there's a lot of hype out there about Wi-Fi 6 and security. And I guess this is like the first time in like 10 years we've seen an upgrade there. I'd love to get your perspective on that. What are the benefits of this? Maybe we'll start with Klaus from kind of just from an industry standpoint.
Right, so there is an association between Wi-Fi 6 and the next security standard. By the way, I'm not a security expert, so I'm going to defer more to Darren because I think he knows much more about this than I do. But there is an association between the Wi-Fi 6 standard and the WPA3, which is the upgrade to the WPA2 standard that's been in existence, I think, for many years, right? And there are improvements on that, and a tremendous amount of work goes into making this uncrackable and so forth. However, I mean, WPA3 is not formally a part of Wi-Fi 6, but it's quite often associated with it, so that when you do get a Wi-Fi 6 piece of equipment, it will typically also support the new WPA3 encryption security standard.
Yeah, it's just basically
Darren, go ahead. I think you know more.
No, I was going to say, I was just double up what you're saying there. It's just a matter of timing. Really, the Wi-Fi Alliance has said WPA3 is required, for Wi-Fi 6. So they've made that requirement linkage, but they are two different programs, right? They are two different things, but they've tied them together nicely. So the timing is very, very well done. WPA3, as you said, Klaus, it closes some of those gaps. WPA2, when it came out, there was still lots and lots of WEP, W-E-P, and WEP is instantly crackable. I can download applications. I have a Linux laptop that I can use for penetration testing, and I can crack a WEP key just in minutes, seconds, in fact. I'm not that fast with it, but guys are faster than me. They can do it. They're counting seconds instead of minutes. And so WPA2 had to be backwards compatible. It had to support some of those WEP devices, and so it was a compromised protocol. And WPA3 is much improved. So WPA3 does some better things. It does not allow for packets to be extracted from a network, taken offline, and then decrypted offline. That's one of the things, one of the gaps, and that WPA3 is going to close. So yep, we're in sync with that. We're looking forward to WPA3. It's going to solve some of these problems. Give us another decade.
So I like a lot of gadgets. I have kind of the hottest technology usually, personally, and in my home office and in our real office. So what devices out there right now that really take advantage of this technology?
Well, you get your Samsung S10, first one to launch. Samsung tends to be the early launch in terms of the client devices. They did the same thing with 11AC. If you remember back in 2013, they were the first to launch 11AC. And they were the first to launch, this Wi-Fi 6. They did it in, Q1, early Q2 of 2019, but followed very quickly by Apple, right? The Apple iPhone 11 just launched towards the end of 2019. It supports this new standard, and other vendors as well. So really so here's a rough rule of thumb.
And we started to see some of the Chromebooks and some of the newer laptops shipping with them too.
Yeah.
That started in the past couple months.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at smartphones, the average length that people keep a phone is about 2 years, about 24 months. And so because they sign a contract, right? They're buying it on a contract. So 24 months. So generally speaking, you'll cross the 50% threshold in about half that time. So about 12 to 15 months, you'll cross the 50% threshold. So if you look at Q4 2020, fast forward about 12 months, that tells us that you'll start to see lots and lots and lots of devices in your network, 50% or more, in late 2020 and Q1 2021.
Yeah, and really one of the reasons the cell phone companies, come out with it first is the battery efficiency on Wi-Fi 6, right? I mean, that's a big piece of battery efficiency and then in schools, where you don't have the ability where everybody's mobile and moving around a lot, the Wi-Fi 6 with the battery efficiency is a big piece to that.
So am I hearing, are you saying I should wait until 2021?
No.
Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Absolutely. Well, maybe you should, Cameron, but the rest of us, we have other things to look at. Okay, if you're out there on the open road in your new motorcycle, what do you need? What do you need Wi-Fi for?
How am I going to upload my exploits to Facebook?
Hey, you got to do that. We want to see those pictures.
Yeah.
And live video, live stream it. So look at the market that you're in and look at the types of devices and just consider for a moment education market. And I'll pick on this one because I've got some interesting news this week to share. Education tends to upgrade faster, some parts of education. Who's going to send their school to a university at the prices that they're charging and not send the latest technology with those kids every year, right? So higher education tends to upgrade faster. That's a fast growth market. And just personal devices in the education market tends to be a fast adopter of new technology. So we have a customer that's deployed Wi-Fi 6, education customer. It's kind of a high-end school. They told us on Monday, I saw information, over 50%. They just crossed the 50% mark in devices on the network. They were doing some of their pre-school opening testing. And they actually started opening school, I think was Wednesday or Tuesday this week, Wednesday, I believe. And so they are doing some pre-opening testing and slightly over 50% devices were running AX. So yeah, we're seeing it even now. So it may not happen in your market till Q1, but start planning now.
I want to interject here. We do have 7 questions currently sitting in the Q&A. I do want to remind everybody attending, please send your questions through to the Q&A. We are getting a lot of questions via the chat, but the problem is there's so much coming in through the chat that it's actually very difficult for us to keep on top of it. Some of you are dropping jokes. Some of you are making fun of my hair. It's all good. Just drop your questions, actual questions in the Q&A. We have 7 currently. I'm going to burn through a few of those. Let's start off with this one. What are the implications for higher bandwidth point-to-point and point-to-multipoint applications?
Wow, great question. So there are a lot of tools in 802.11ax, and so for example, one of the things I'm really excited about with AX is that things work in both directions. So multi-user MIMO works downstream, it works upstream, so both directions. OFDMA works downstream, works upstream. So the bidirectionality is a key part of delivering low latency and greater efficiency. Now, when you're talking about my smartphone, you know, there's a limitation as to how efficient it's really going to be because dependent upon that smartphone and that particular vendor, how well do they implement the upstream parts of it. When you look at the fixed wireless outdoors and use that same technology in a fixed wireless network, I control both sides of the link. I have the access point and I have the client device, the subscriber module, and the same vendor controls both of those devices. So now we can optimize those protocols and we can find some other things buried deep in there to make it even better. So Cambium has done this before. We have used standardized 802.11 AC chips, and we've actually delivered upstream and downstream bidirectional multi-user MIMO using 802.11 AC. We've done that, and other vendors have not been able to do that, but we know how to leverage all the little levers and knobs that you can turn down close in the driver.
That was a nice subtle flex there. Good job. The next question. I'm going to read this one verbatim. What major PHY layer improvements in Wi-Fi 6 WRT 2 previous versions? How is latency improved?
Oh, phi layer improvements. So a couple of things I'll just mention briefly. That could be a massive topic, which will get me into trouble with the engineers when I start saying things that are wrong. So I'll say things that I know. There's a lot of, so one of the problems with AC Wave 2 is that the multi-user MIMO just did not work very well. The reason it didn't work well is because of the signaling between the mobile device and the access point, okay? They just did not have an efficient way of signaling back and forth so they could conduct multi-user MIMO. So that is being improved. The signal is being improved with Wi-Fi 6 so that we're now embedding that feedback loop is being embedded in other management frames. So additionally to the phi layer, the phi layer, if you call it the phi layer or not, but I think you can, 1024 QAM. And a QAM is the density of the bits. It's a target that you want to set, and you want to map your bits into this target as densely as you can. And the current standard 802.11 AC is 256 QAM. And with Wi-Fi 6, we now support 1024 QAM. So we're increasing it by 25%, the density, the density of the bits packed per symbol. That's a 5-layer type improvement. And I mentioned the BSS coloring. That's also at that layer. Sorry, go ahead, Jonathan.
I was just asking Cameron if he got all that.
Yeah, sure. and not just because this event's being recorded. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, you lost me. You lost me. But it's hard to have qualms with an answer like that. I could not resist.
No qualms at all.
We have a half dozen more questions here. Can we maybe lightning round some of these? Oh, now we have more than a half dozen more questions here. Can we lightning round some of these?
Yeah.
Sick. All right. What kind of backhaul improvements do we think are going to have to be made to experience the full capabilities of Wi-Fi 6?
Multi-gigabit.
Love that. All right, cool. And then Klaus, I think this one's actually perfect for you. Is the Certification and Marketing Alliance, which is a subset of the 802.11ac, creating a scenario akin to an IE6 hack of the HTML nightmare that corporates struggled with until almost 2013 to never get over Internet Explorer and other versions?
I have no idea.
That one. Hold on.
But I don't know, Darren. Did you catch any of that?
I'm reading it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, because obviously PHY was fine. Thanks for letting me do that, guys. And anyway, so you just go right ahead and read that one.
Well, that next question we're gonna, I think we'll pick up in our next discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we'll go there now.
Go right ahead, guys.
No, I think on the backhaul question, just one thing, Darren was saying multi-gig, you got two pieces. You've got one, the AP connecting into the switching architecture. It is going to be able to provide more than 1 gig, on the backhaul. So when you're talking backhaul, you're talking about, site to site from a LAN standpoint, from a WAN standpoint, but you definitely, if you're looking at Wi-Fi 6, you want to be looking at a multi-rate switch to plug into to get the full function out of it.
And by the way, just Jonathan, that more than 1 gigabit, we are actually seeing that working on our high-end Wi-Fi 6 AP with 8 streams. We're also seeing it on the lower end, the 2x2, the mass market Wi-Fi 6. It also is delivering more than 1 gigabit per second of throughput. So the entire standard is multi-gigabits, more than 1 gigabit. So you need it in your access network. That's your Ethernet switches. You also need it as you go outside the building. So if you're using a fixed wireless backhaul solution, you need something that can deliver that one gigabit per second or more, higher than a gigabit per second of backhaul bandwidth to really experience the full advantages.